Sometimes it's very difficult to choose a good stock that you like. And I think a lot of people make the mistake of having found a gem, you know, but take their profit when it's only up 20% and then miss a 10-bagger. And I think in our midst we have a company called AEM, right? Which I think has done very well. I mean, if you have bought them at whatever levels and if you have traded them by making 10, 20 or even 30%, I think you would have regretted because, you know, they've basically gone up many, many times. So I suppose as far as investment go, you've got to recognize what kind of investor you are. Are you a trader where you, and it's a lot of work if you're a trader, because I've got friends who trade in the US market and everything, you know, and you got to stay up until 3, 4 a.m. and the next day they're all very, very tired. And sometimes, and oftentimes, they get it wrong. Whereas I think personally I prefer to be a fundamental investor where if I think I've spotted a stock, unless the fundamentals change so very much, I would prefer really to hold on to it. And personally, I feel that even though there's a lot of noise in terms of politics, in terms of what President Trump tweets on a daily basis, the stock market and the valuations are a reflection of the economics and not the politics. So I won't get very excited if there's a political event and it triggers a correction or even a very sharp correction, as long as the economics are still A-okay. In fact, those will be buying opportunities.
Back when I was a university undergrad, I read probably Trump's, the first book, Deal of the something, right? And I think that is a good context. Pick up that book and you begin to understand Trump very deeply. And I remember one of the top story on my mind about that book. How he managed to get the entire ownership of Miss Universe. Miss Universe itself is a business, it's a franchise. And the certainty about Trump is uncertainty. Let me say that slowly. The only certainty about Trump is uncertainty. And that is the way he conducts his deals on Wall Street. He's a poker face, put it plainly. So we're going to expect a lot of uncertainty from him, and that is a norm, granted. And if you watched 2 weeks ago, CNBC put together 3 Fed chairs. 2 previous Fed chair and a current Fed chair in the same panel discussion, something like this. And you see the current Fed chair, his behavior. I believe behind the scene, he got slapped many times by Trump. That he has to openly declare, we are not going to raise interest rates any further. There's political pressure on him. And of course, to sugarcoat the whole conversation, you know, he said, I'm not afraid of getting fired. So every time for us, the way we look at news being presented, we look at it with a twisted mind. Russia is very interesting. If you look at the last 2 week news on Russia, let me give you the context. They are under sanctions. Very difficult to move money in and out, especially if you're trading US dollars. And right now the discussion is, perhaps they should back Bitcoin. Because Bitcoin is not under sanctions. Prime Minister said it. There are rumors about Putin thinking about it. And perhaps that's the next wave, because if you look at the opening price of Bitcoin, it's 0.008. And if you trace back the last 200 years of all instruments, from properties to bonds to US dollar to stocks, last 200 years, the only instrument that gives you a 45-degree growth chart, stock market. So what is the key takeaway from here? For me as a stock investor for 15 years, I don't sell stock, because when I sell, when the price is below my purchase price, I realize my loss. You got to have a longer time frame. Think of it as something you can pass on to your children and your children's children, your grandchildren, and you sleep very well at night. So if you have any portfolios in the red right now, relax, man. 200 years of proven history is always up. Along the way, there are some dips and downs and all that kind of stuff. You will constipate. It's fine. But if you think of it as something like a Patek Philippe, you pass to the next generation, you only hold on for your generation, you will be well. A fortnight ago, a press statement from China again is telling Taiwan, hey, don't play punk, huh? You're under me. Oh, no way, they start talking about Taiwan. From their behavior, we begin to understand a few things. Number one, they are going to round up their territories. They are very territorial, and that is very obvious. Number two, they don't want to have any rock the boat shift within their population to maintain stability. 要稳定, that is always their thinking. And number three, very interesting contrast. On one hand, they support blockchain. All the top banks in China are deploying on blockchain. They have a blockchain institute, and they are the only country in the world that can declare Bitcoin is ranked number 16 in their report. All of us out here look at, China, you say Bitcoin number 16. What kind of metrics you use? And they rank which coin as the number one coin? EOS, which is the coin out of China. So we see China exerting its influence, not just territorially, but also in cryptocurrency. They say, I have my own ranking. I don't care what you're ranking out there. This is our internal metrics. That means that the future right now presents unprecedented opportunities of arbitrage. That's how we see it. And we look at data. So spiking data, we look at how sovereign wealth funds deploy their money. We look at whales, billionaires and millionaires, how they deploy their money. And when you look at all this bad news out there, and there are still tons of people out there with a positive portfolio, you say something is wrong here. There's arbitrage of information. Some people know much more than us. And the average Joes out there will always get slaughtered. And that is why we are discussing here today. Same information, different interpretation.